It's gonna fall. All right. Well, it's definitely live.
Yeah, we're definitely live. All right, guys, this was kind of an impromptu stream, and I'm using Tim's equipment here. For those of you guys that don't know, I would imagine that's like one of you. This is Tim from the Military Arms channel.
Hey, guys.
And I am here, and we're doing a live stream, obviously using his equipment. So that's why I'm a little bit weirded out on where to look. It's different. It's different. It's different than mine.
Right there.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. So you guys are rolling in, and really the plan for this was just kind of like I said, an impromptu Q&A video. So definitely throw your questions at us. We will do our best to try to find them, because there is a lot of you guys in here already, especially without promoting this first.
Yeah. Not too bad for just going live.
All right.
Here we go. Yeah. So if you guys could tag at Mrgunsngear channel, that pops it in color so we can see your questions. Or if you want to super chat, that's another good thing to do. You got that turned on, I assume?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, what? Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say, wait for someone to actually ask a question, but go ahead.
Okay. What do you guys think of the 357 SIG cartridge? I think it was a great idea that's obsolete.
Yeah. You know, it really depends on the bullet construction, I think, with 357 SIG. If done right, it could be a cartridge that has some potential, but just loading 9mm loads in there, not the best.
Yeah. You know what? It took off. I mean, it really did a good job of bringing almost 357 mag performance to a standard automatic pistol. I mean, I understand the concept behind it. It's a sound concept, but bottleneck cartridges were popular at the turn of the century and not so much afterwards. And there's reasons for that.
Right.
A lot of people think because you have a smaller bullet up front that it's going to feed more reliably, and that's not necessarily true. Mm-hmm. So bottleneck cartridges went the way of the dodo, and straight wall pistol cartridges took over for a reason. So, but all that being said, ballistically, it's a good cartridge. It's a viable self-defense cartridge. It's just expensive to shoot. So if you really want to train and practice, you better have a lot of money. And you're not just going to walk into any gun store in America anymore and buy it. No. It's like 45 Gap. Great concept.
I'm one of the few defenders of the Gap. I think it's a good cartridge, especially for its time. You know, Ban era cartridge, being able to get 10 rounds in a full size gun, which at the time was all that most folks had. But yeah, agreed. Nowadays, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Nope. So it's kind of gone the way of the dodo. It'll be with us for a while though.
Yep.
Who knows? It may come back. He goes, where are you guys at? He's over at my place. So yep. What are you guys doing? If you want to talk about it?
Yeah, no, I can, because this obviously brings it all up. So my wife and I are at the tail end of a road trip, for those that don't know. So we went out to Yellowstone, and we'll be headed home here shortly. But on the way back, I just wanted to stop by since we're in the neighborhood and do some stuff with Tim. I'm not really sure exactly what we're doing yet. We've been spitballing it tonight, but yeah. So that is what's going on. So
be doing some filming tomorrow. We should have a good time.
Yep. All right. Any questions? Let's get to it. What is the best surplus gun to carry? I would say the Makarov off the top of my head.
See, look at that. We're not even having a conversation because I totally agree with you.
Never mind then. All right. That was easy.
I love that gun, man. It's the most incredible little gun there is. And you can still pick them up for less than $300 if you find them in the right spot.
And they're super reliable.
Stupid reliable.
The one thing I would say is I have, I don't even know how many, a few, but one of them I got, and I kind of haphazardly cleaned out the firing pin channel, and it slam fired 4 rounds in a row on me. So make sure that thing is clean,
guys.
Like really clean.
When you get them, they are caked typically in Cosmoline, and that includes the internals. And either they won't fire, or like he experienced, they will slam fire. So you really have to clean them out good. And a lot of people say, well, how do you get rid of Cosmoline? I've had really good luck. You can use a heat gun to get rid of it, but you got to be very careful not to damage the finish. So you can't run the heat too high. I also use kerosene in a sonic cleaner, and a lot of people say never use a flammable in a sonic cleaner. So I'm guilty. I won't put gasoline in a sonic cleaner,
no,
but kerosene I've done and had pretty good luck. Some people bake it off.
Boiling
is another way to get it off. But then you run, but anything that you do, you're immediately going to have to go back and soak the thing in oil, because you're going to remove pretty much
everything from
anything but the finish from the gun, hopefully.
Yeah, and on a blued gun, that's not the best.
No.
So, all right. Robert, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Robert.
Going on, what do we got? Best 300 Blackout. round for whitetails. Go ahead.
You know what? I've never hunted whitetail with the 300 Blackout. If I was going to use something, I'm going to go supersonic. I don't think subsonics are humane past, relatively very close distances. It's a CQB cartridge in that regard, in my opinion. I like the Lehigh rounds that we've tested. So I'm looking at a light, fast round. I forget what the name of it was. I did a video with Iraq veteran 2 years ago. And we actually did something chaos, I think they called it.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled chaos. Thank you. He has better memory than I do. He's much younger. Anyway, so we did some testing with it, and we're actually impressed with the ballistics. But have you ever considered that?
Yeah. So I went down to the Guerrilla Ammunition Factory, and if you guys ever watched that video, there is a gel test of that round with that bullet in there, and it's nasty stuff. Has a lot of penetration, which is good. My answer to the question would be one of two, and that's absolutely a viable one too, but just from the testing I've done and what I've seen, your Barnes 110s and they're 125 as well, very, very good. And they also have a very good fragmentation velocity, i.e. it's pretty low for 300 Blackout, which is good. And then also the Nosler 110 Armageddon. So I haven't shot deer with it either, but I've shot a lot of hogs with it, and it's excellent ammo. It's actually what's in my home defense gun. It's two of them. So
see, I think 300 Blackout is probably one of the most underrated calibers. I remember when Dutton Fancy put his video out saying that the coolest caliber you don't need. And I watched that video in dismay because there's so much versatility built into that caliber.
That's what it does well.
Yeah, it does everything. If you want a subsonic gun so like I travel, if you follow my channel, you'll know that when I travel with a small get home bag. And in that, I have a SIG Rattler. Yes, I carry a SIG. It's in 300 Blackout. And I have 2 magazines loaded with supers and 2 magazines loaded with subs. And I'm running an OSS can on it. And it's the 30 caliber titanium, so it's a lightweight. And it fits neatly into a backpack. It's a pistol with a brace on it. And, I have everything I need. If I need to hunt, I'm going to use the supers. If I need to do something discreet, I have subsonics. If I don't want to bring attention to myself for whatever reason. So it gives me a lot of different options that you can't really get out of the conventional bottleneck cartridge like 5.56, 308, 7.62 by 39. Right.
No,
so
I mean, I agreed on all fronts. I did a video not too long ago, all things 300 Blackout, and I go into all that too.
Yep.
It's just the downside is, in my experience, I know viewers say otherwise, and I don't doubt you. That's entirely possible. But for me, I have not seen great accuracy out of it. So
I agree 100% with that. That's the one thing that we constantly joke about is anytime that we found a gun that shoots 300 Blackout really, really well, we're like, oh my gosh, it like breaks the trend. It's good to hear you say that because 300 Blackout to me is inherently inaccurate.
Agreed.
I have a hard time finding a gun that shoots an inch.
Yeah, I haven't.
I
haven't seen one yet.
So you have to settle for 2 inches at 100.
Yep.
You just have to. And people are going to out there say, "Oh man, I got a half-minute gun."
And maybe you do.
Yeah, maybe you do. Or a lot of the times, I'm not going to pick on anybody here, but a lot of times people shoot 10 groups. They'll shoot 3-shot groups, then they'll cherry pick the best of the 10 and say, "This is my gun. It's sub MOA." How about shoot 10 10-shot groups, and then you can better gauge what your rifle's capable of. So I know in my accuracy testing, if I'm testing a hunting rifle, all I care about is that first cold bore shot.
Right.
Does it go to point of aim, let the barrel cool back down, fire again, let the barrel cool back down? On a fighting rifle, then I care about 10-shot groups.
Right.
Then I care about what happens after I do a 30-round mag dump and then shoot a 10-shot group. Yep. But on a hunting rifle, I don't care about 10-shot groups or 5-shot groups. I care about the cold bore shot. Does it go where I want it to?
Right. And there's a lot of factors that go into that, but most important is going to be a good stress relieving there on the barrel. For those that don't know that, that's where you get that cold bore repeatability. All right, we got a bunch of people coming in super chats. David, he asked, I need a 6.5 bolt action, 9mm AR, and an AK. What do I save for first? Well, I would say that of those, my personal opinion is if the AK is going to be a con block variant, then I would get that because that's the only thing that I shouldn't say only. If anything's going to be banned on your list, that's the biggest possibility right now.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
No, I agree. I mean, it's hard to predict what Congress is going to do. Guys, we're in a very hostile environment right now, despite the fact that the Republicans hold the White House and hold the Senate. I was just on the phone today with Dan Crenshaw, and he reaffirmed to me just how dangerous of an environment it is in Congress right now and how many Republicans are talking about gun control measures. They're entertaining the idea because the mainstream media is driving the narrative that we have to do something. And when you drive that narrative, representatives feel that they have to do something. And so they're going to pass some measure, be it a magazine capacity ban, a red flag law, an import ban, you name it. We don't know. We'll be made aware. And we're just having this conversation over dinner. We'll find out when you do, because we get, yes, I talk to congressmen and senators on occasion, and yes, I stay in regular contact with GOA, but by the time that conversation happens, it's already made the mainstream news.
Right.
So it's not like we have like a phone line, the bat phone to the presidency. We don't know what's going on before it happens. And we certainly can't predict what Congress is going to do.
Agreed. All right, hold on. Got a bunch of you. Dwayne says with the super chat, I appreciate it. Have you guys used the Grand Power Stri yet? So I haven't. However, when I get home, it is at my FFL. So in a couple of days, you guys will see something on it here shortly.
That's interesting because I get that question all the time. And so the guys, so they went through a management change and an ownership change and an importer change. And so the guns have been somewhat unavailable. I get a lot of questions about it. It's not something I would personally buy. I know from handling them at a local gun shop that it's really APC-9 knockoff. So I have an APC-9, and the only reason I pick up a Stri is just because I want to show it in video.
Right.
Because I know a lot of people don't want to pay the price for an APC-9, and I totally get that. It's just that I already have the real deal, and I know that the Stri doesn't have that patented recoil hydraulic buffer system in the back end of it. So, but I will say, everybody I've talked to that shot one or owns one absolutely loves the thing.
Same.
So,
and I've gotten so many requests to do it. That's why I ordered one. And like you said, they just came back in again like 3 weeks ago. So
yeah,
that's why there was a delay there. But
I'll probably pick one up too.
Yep.
I mean, because they're cost effective. It's not something I've really actively sought out, but I get so many questions, I feel obligated to get one.
Agreed. Same here. So Alan is with the super chat. Thank you. Says, do we think a gun ban or armor ban will happen? We just sort of talked about that. The one thing with armor, really the only person I've seen pushing hard for it is Chuck Schumer. So I haven't seen a lot of momentum there.
See, that's a hard argument for Congress to have. They don't want you to have firearms, and yet they want to ban your only means to protect yourself from being shot at, which would be body armor. It's a hard argument for them to make in Congress. Not to say that Congress won't pass a stupid law. That's what they're known for. But you can't predict what they're going to do.
Think of how they would have to justify that. Like, we're going to ban people from putting something on them that's going to prevent bullets from entering their body. And, and why are you going to do that? And why do you want to? There's no right answer to that.
Right. It's kind of a tough argument, but it's not to say they won't try.
Big Fish Little Boat says URGI 14.5 buffer weight with the Super 42. I believe Geistley recommends the H1 with that unsuppressed and H3 suppressed. I'm almost positive on that, actually. So
and see, this is why I want to do an AR video with this guy, because he knows more about AR-15s than anybody I know.
Here's one for you, because I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Super chat from Brandon says the best twist rate for 350 Legend. I don't know anything about the caliber.
Okay, so here's the deal, guys. 350 Legend has been kind of a bit of a hot mess. So the Ruger I have, I want to say, is a 1 in 7 twist, but don't quote me on that because it's been a while since I touched it. I got on RSR, which is a distributor through our gun shop, and I ordered the only 350 Legend I could get my hands on at the time, which was the Ruger American rifle. And I got some ammunition, obviously, from Winchester. I got some of their white box practice ammunition. I got some of their, I believe it's 180 grain hunting ammunition. And then I picked up some federal ammunition, and nothing shot good out of that Ruger. We learned from shooting the rifle, if we bared down on it like we were in the field, if we were doing a hasty rest or really pulling it tight into the shoulder, any amount of pressure we put to the rifle caused it to string shots all over the place. If we laid it on a rest, barely touched it, just let the rounds fly, we could get decent groups out of it with the 145 grain stuff. And that's just not acceptable for a hunting rifle, which is the market it's going after. I just got a confirmation from Winchester that they are going to send me a Winchester rifle that's been tested with their ammunition, and now I'm going to see what type of accuracy I can get. So we'll find out. So I do live in one of those states where it's targeted. It's targeted for my state because on public land, we're relegated to pistol calibers and straight wall cartridges over 357 diameter. I also had the initial gripe because I slugged the chamber and bore of my Ruger, and it came up short. It's not 357.
I've seen several reports of that.
And so my initial concern was that the states that mandate 357 or larger would reverse their decision or hadn't published decisions yet on their Department of Natural Resources websites. And so I had that conversation with Winchester, and they assured me that all those states would be updating their websites. And sure enough, within 2 weeks or 3 weeks of having that conversation with Winchester, my own state updated it, added it to the list of approved cartridges in Indiana, and I seen it start to pop in the other states. So it is legal to hunt with in those states where it's required. I'm still undecided right now. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole based on the one rifle I have and the ammunition I've tried. It's just not accurate enough. Now, I'm fortunate enough in my state where it's only required on public lands. I have plenty of private property I can hunt on, either my own or my friends or whatever. And on private property, we are not, subject to that rule. We can use bottleneck cartridges, 270 Winchester, 308, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, 50 BMG. Seriously, they don't restrict it. It's
like Keith Warren.
Right? And he didn't even hit the dang thing, and he still killed it.
I know. So Carl had a super chat. Thank you. He didn't have a question on that. And then next up, we have the Tyven Show. He's on here a lot. Good to see you. With a super chat says, will either of you test and review the Safety Harbor Firearms 50 cal? So I haven't done a full review on it yet. I have used it, though. It's been in a couple of videos. I was actually down with Hank at his hacienda there, and we did some firing with it. But yeah, no, I'm certainly game to do it. I think it's a cool concept. Not sure. Did anything happen with that? The legalities of AR-50s? Weren't they like talking about some? Yeah,
there was some. You know what? There's been so many conversations legislatively about whether or not these types of firearms are going to be legal. So I don't know. I've not messed with the Safety Harbor firearm. I've never messed with their 50. I've never even seen one in person. The only 50s I've ever played with are the Barretts, and I'm just not a big 50 guy. First of all, I don't really have a place to shoot them. The one time I did shoot it, I took it down to Eric's to shoot it on his range, and then I darn near lost my finger in the process. There's no ranges I have around me that are safe to shoot a 50 on, and the 1,000-yard range I have specifically bans 50 because it tears up the targets, but you can shoot 475 Chi-Tech.
Makes total sense.
Or 416 Barrett, but don't shoot the 50, whatever. So I don't really do a whole lot of shooting with 50s because I just really don't have any place to shoot them. Yeah,
I would like to do more as well. I have a 107, as many watching know. But yeah, just finding locations to be able to shoot it safely is tough. Really, only around me, the only place is Brandon Herrera from the AK guy, his property. So every now and then I'll knock on his door and shoot some stuff out there. But
I forget how many of you guys are like in the exact same spot.
Yeah, there's a lot of YouTubers in the Carolinas. So, but yeah,
and in Tennessee.
Yep. Yeah, there's a pocket of us. But yeah, so that I agree. It's hard to find places to shoot safely, but it's an awesome cartridge just for fun.
It's fun. Else. Like your 107, man. It's minute a man.
Yeah, no, it's not an accurate gun.
But well, I mean, if you get match loads, maybe it's a little bit better. But I'm shooting, A-pit rounds.
Yeah,
because it's affordable,
right? And
it's like 4 inches at 100 yards if you're lucky.
On a good day. And people don't get that. If you guys watch the video I did with Eric dueling 107s, you guys will see like even with each other calling each other shots, the next shot's still so much farther off. It's almost impossible to spot with simply because it's relatively inaccurate. With match loads, my experience has been around 2 MOA, just for what it's worth.
It's a little bit, well, I mean, it halves the group size or better.
Yeah, but it's still not good.
No,
it's just not.
It's not a mile long cartridge.
It's not what it's meant for. No.
Right. So no, it's an anti-material weapon.
Correct. Super chat from Brian. No question. Thank you for that. Same from Alan. Thank you. All right, you guys are coming in. No question. This is Matthew said just want to support. From Valparaiso.
Yeah, so Valpo.
Loco. All right. Carl, same thing. Thank you. I appreciate that, Carl.
Thanks, guys.
So Armament and Access asks, SHTF 50 now a 4473 item considered a firearm? Yeah, so that's what I have. I heard rumors on that. I do not know if that's true.
Yeah, I don't know because the rules that govern firearms, ATF is getting kind of perturbed with everybody trying to push the limits.
Right.
I have a lot of industry people that confide in me, and I can't say a lot of stuff, but suffice it to say that ATF is not our friend right now. They've been kind of on a rip, and a lot of people are submitting stuff to ATF that really obviously bends the limits of what the NFA is, and they're getting pissed. And I guess that's about the most I've ever cussed in the live stream, but they're really cracking down. I was just talking to a guy that's trying to import and stuff that other importers have gotten away with. ATF's now saying, nope, not accepting that anymore. Well, it's just they're really getting upset with everybody, which is bogus.
The perfect example of that, again, on the bogus front is for SOTs. They used to just be able to get an 80% Glock full auto switch, and you could buy it and finish it yourself. And if you read the law, that's totally legal, but the ATF's not approving it anymore. It hasn't been since everyone was on YouTube with full auto Glocks, and apparently that made them mad.
Right. So, and they do this through executive fiat. Correct. So once, keep in mind, this is what's so weird about how laws are written in the United States. So Congress writes a law, and then they hand it off to a bureaucracy like the ATF, and then they give them carte blanche ability to adjust and tweak the law and interpret it. It's called, what is it called? Deference is what they call it. And this is actually something that's coming up. Congress is going to debate this actually, because it's being so misused by these agencies. And ATF is one of the worst culprits of misusing it. If they don't like what you're doing, all they do is just tweak the law. Take a look at what they did with the bump stocks. 4 different times they determined it was an accessory that was not governed by the NFA. And then when President Trump says, make it go away, oh, it's a machine gun. And we just had our very first case where a guy has been charged with possession of an illegal machine gun because he had a bump stock. Just made the news today on Fox.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Jacob with a super chat said, just picked up a Scar 17. Would the Vortex Razor HD be a good optic for it? So yes is the answer to that, probably. For those that don't know sort of the issue of why Scars eat optics, you can, I discuss it in my video on it, but the recoil impulse on the Scar, i.e. the actual recoil of the gun coming back into your shoulder, is no different or worse than other guns. It's when it goes home, it's just like an FAL. So that is what was killing a lot of scopes. That scopes were meant for one-way recoil, not two-way, essentially, and that's what was killing them. However, you know, I don't know what time each company did it, but a lot of companies now have started to change that specifically for that. I don't know if you have to sort of add anything on that.
Yeah, so I went out to Loophole quite some time ago, and we were talking about the dynamics of scopes and certain firearms. And this is what I didn't want to happen. Little buddy.
We have a visitor.
You do.
So
no, you can't be down here, bud. All right, stay right there. Okay. Anyway, but there's certain, believe it or not, there's certain firearms. Of course, the Scar has a recoil impulse that goes rearward and forward due to the mass of the bolt. But BB guns, believe it or not, are very hard on optics for the exact same reason. And most scope manufacturers only design their scopes to operate in one direction. And most of them only test their scopes to operate in one direction. And Loophole is a company I've known and loved for many years. And one of the things that they do, and their cheapest scope up all the way to their Mark 8 most expensive scope, they put them all on this thing called the Punisher.
I've seen it.
And it's a ram that simulates, I forget the caliber, like, I can't remember. It's some ungodly, powerful rifle caliber. It simulates that like tenfold. Okay. And it's just a ram that just punishes things. And it's like 10,000 cycles or something the scopes have to go through, where a lot of the competition simply won't make it even 100 cycles because it's so brutal. And when you pick up a scope, you'll pick up a really high-end scope. It's really expensive, and it'll be heavy. And you'll go, man, this must be quality. It feels real heavy. No. Think of it this way, and this is the way they explained it to me at Leupold. If you're in a pickup truck and you have bags of concrete in the bed and you hit a support column on a bridge going 60 miles an hour, what happens to that concrete?
Fine.
It flattens you like squishing a bug. Why? Because that mass is going to continue forward. The exact same thing happens with scopes. If you have very heavy metal components on the inside of that scope and the erector system that controls the reticle, if that has a lot of mass to it, that mass starts to wear. The scope starts to lose zero. It'll no longer pass box tests after so many rounds. Loophole uses weird and rare elements. They're super light, like beryllium, inside their scopes to keep that erector system as light as possible. So when you'll pick up an LRP, it'll be half the weight of a Schmidt and Bender.
Right.
But that LRP is twice as tough. So that's stuff that you got to think about in the Scar. Is definitely one of those rifles you have to worry about that type of stuff.
Yeah, he brought it up again. We didn't know these questions were going to happen, but this is a good point. So I think it was the AK files. I posted a lot of information about this topic over there, and I guess we'll get it out on video now. But so I was around scars in the military a good bit and saw a lot of different things be tried on them. And I said for variable power optics, i.e. not an LCAN, the Loophole Mark IVs did the best, but a lot of them still died. But they did the best.
It's very hard on optics.
But they did the best. And, so that is what it is. But yeah, like he said, a lot of scope manufacturers are changing that now because of those rifles. So the Vortex Razor, I say, is probably one of them because, Vortex is a pretty forward-thinking company generally, in my experience, but I can't guarantee that. I know Primary Arms now has actually designed 2 different lines of scopes specifically for SCAR heavies. So take it for what it's worth.
Can I ask what your opinion was of the SCAR in the military? Because I've heard a lot of
so really
guys.
Good. Very, very high.
Really?
Yep. From folks who I worked with in different units that we saw that had problems with the SCAR, it was almost always there's a word for it, I can't think of it right now, where it's TPE, theater provided equipment. So for those that don't know, theater provided equipment is like you show up in the country and like here's your arms room that you just pick up from the unit that was just there. So a lot of times the units, they just don't do maintenance because they know it's not their guns, they're leaving them, and parts weren't swapped. Now I cannot say that across the board. I know that was a big problem in the Navy.
I was going to say that's the guys I know were naval.
Yeah, that was a big problem. And from what I understand, they changed that with those rifles. But in my experience, no semi-automatic 308 gun is as reliable as like a Block 2 AR-15. However, again, one man's experience. Don't go crazy, but one man's experience and what I saw, the SCAR versus the Knights. I saw less issues with the SCAR. Now, we definitely saw issues like butt stocks, for example. Those things cracked, especially if you're running suppressed. That was pretty common. There was always a stockpile of stocks around for that. But, the 110 had some problems too. So, I mean, those were really the only 2 I saw.
That's cool. I was just kind of curious what your experience was, and because I know I've talked to some of the guys that were naval that said that they don't want to touch them anymore.
Yeah, and everyone, same here, and everyone I've talked to, I asked if it was TPE, and they all said yeah. So, yeah. Glass asks, what are my thoughts on Kimber 1911s? So, I have had terrible experiences with Kimber 1911s. I've discussed this before.
I was hoping I didn't have to comment. Go ahead.
It's been bad. I've had 3 over the years, and there's actually only 1 video on the channel just because I got so frustrated with the other 2. And even the one that's on the channel, it's a bad video. It's a video saying don't buy this. But yeah, no, I've not had any luck at all with Kimbers.
I gave up on them years ago.
Yeah, so
there
you go.
I mean, they were doing stuff like because Springfield was making stainless steel barrels that were one piece.
Yep.
They were doing carbon steel barrels in the white to look stainless, but immediately rusted. I mean, they were coming out. I went to my local gun shop and took pictures. They took a whole shipment of Kimbers in, and every single one of them had surface rust on the barrels because it was carbon steel in the white.
But it looks good in the back of the magazine.
Looks great, and it's a lot cheaper to cut than stainless because it's easier on tooling. I mean, they just cut so many corners that that's never changed. And the guy that destroyed Kimber now works for SIG.
That's true. That's a true story.
So take it for what it's worth.
The Tyven Show, personal invite to Creator Summit. Thank you. 200 yards to 1 mile. I may have to look into that. We'll see how the schedules line up. I'm trying to go through. What do we got? Well, okay. Somebody's asking. Michael's asking, where's the Kalashnikov USA KP9 review? Do you have one of those?
KR9?
He said P, but sure.
Go it's KR. The KR9. We actually have 2 of them here. Mine's here, which is an SBR, and Jason's is here, which is just a standard 16-inch carbine. So if you want to have some trigger time with them while you're here tomorrow,
might have to.
Yeah. I love them personally. So
okay. Yeah, no, I'm certainly game for that.
Yeah. Actually. I mean, have you seen a real Russian Vitez?
Yes.
Okay. So this is, I mean, you'll swear by looking at it that somebody's doing something underhanded because this looks like it's made in Russia.
Would anyone be surprised if they were?
But what's crazy, man, is the failures that the Vitez has with the cracking top cover.
Yep.
Some of the U.S. guns have the exact same failure.
Crazy.
Man, I mean, talk about perfect cloning.
Exactly.
But anyway, so I love it because I love military history. Anything, even if it's, and the Vitchez is a good design, I believe, but even stuff that's a bad design, I still want it because it's served in the military somewhere. Right.
Yeah,
so,
no, I agree.
But I think the Vitchez is awesome, or the KR9.
Florida Man asks if we have 300 Blackout guns for self-defense or home defense. If so, how do I have it set up? I've gone over this a few times. I'll run down real quick. The ones I have now are BCM 9-inch guns. That's probably going to change. One of them is going to be a 12-inch here soon once I finish that test. Both are suppressed. Sandman S on one, Gemtech the one on the other, Aimpoint Micros, and Surefire Scouts. So that's it.
Yep. I'm using a SIG Rattler with an OSS can, so I have a really short barrel. But that's so it fits into a backpack. So when I travel, I always have that little backpack. It looks just like a regular backpack. I can walk down any street in America and nobody would think there was anything inside of it. Just a simple red dot sight. I believe I have a Trichicon RMR on it on a low mount. It's a pistol with a brace and an OSS 30 caliber titanium can for weight purposes.
I need to get one of the titanium ones. I have the steel ones, but yeah,
they're heavy as steel, man.
They are.
They really are.
Mark sent a super chat. No question, but thank you, Mark. We appreciate that. The Life from Liberty or Liberty channel, excuse me. I have a 107 CR. That's my primary SHTF weapon. I would like to SBR it, but I'm concerned SBRs could be outlawed. Thoughts? Go ahead.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about SBRs being outlawed. What I would be concerned with is, well, who are you going to have do the work? Make sure they're a good, reputable gunsmith, because when you shorten the barrels on AKs, you have to adjust the port size. I've seen so many guns come into the shop that they tried to SBR themselves or had somebody that didn't know what they were doing SBR it, and the gun didn't run right. And then you also have to think. So like people have come to me, a buddy came to me and said, hey man, I want to SBR my M4 because, 16-inch barrel versus 14 and a half. And I said, man, you're going to pay $200. You're going to limit yourself on how much you can travel, because if you travel out of the state, you got to get Uncle Sam's permission. That permission is only good for 1 year to one location. Right. And it's a real hassle over 1.5 inches.
Right. And it's not even 1.5 inches. When you put a pin flash hider on there, it really is about 1/2 inch.
So, right. And so if you're only going to bob a couple inches off the barrel, and you only have about 3 or so inches to work with on the AK, unless you're going to move the gas block back and shorten the piston and all the other stuff, which would cost a fortune, I just don't see a reason to do it. Get a side folding rifle, and it's going to store in roughly the same space, unless you just have a bag that you absolutely love and you want to make the gun fit in it. I just don't recommend people SBR stuff if they want to travel with it.
Sure. One note on the Arsenal AKs in specific. Some of them, what Tim said about the gas port is absolutely spot on. And again, I'm speaking just to Arsenals on this. Some of them is not. Some of them have port restrictors put in them. It just depends on the batch they come in. Like the same guns, like some 107s came in with it, some didn't.
Yeah, so, this is typical with ComBlock.
Yeah,
I mean, you used to see Vepers come in that would be square cut, and then the next shipment would be slant cut, and nobody could ever manufacture third-party products for it because the tolerances varied so much, and that's typical with ComBlock manufacturing, including Bulgaria.
Yep, agreed. Sterling sent a super chat with no question, but thank you. Techno Bobber sent in opinion on the FN57.
I think he's probably asking because, Tim McKenna,
mm-hmm.
He just recently did an Instagram video, and actually was going to address this in video. I was going to do some testing because we haven't shot the 5.7 in a long time on the channel. We did a gauntlet test and did surprisingly well.
Yeah,
and but the caliber, Tim made some statements that were a bit misleading. And to his defense, he said that he had just recently picked it up and was just starting to learn the gun, but he was doing it because he wanted to have 20 rounds in the magazine. But he started right off by saying it's a rifle cartridge and it does 3,000 feet per second. No, it's not a rifle cartridge. And it maybe out of a PS90 does 3,000 feet per second with the right load.
It may be.
But out of a handgun, 2,000 feet per second.
2,100 feet.
And then you have the whole argument of hypercavitation. That doesn't happen at 2,000 feet per second. So basically you're shooting a 40 grain bullet at, well, I have a whole video on it, and compare it to a 22 Winchester Magnum rimfire. Yes, it's more powerful, but not by much. And it's just a caliber looking for a solution, but it has very light recoil. The gun's uber reliable, but you have exactly one choice on the market if you want to shoot the 5.7 ammo out of a handgun, and that's the 5.7.
Right. So I think it's a great gun in terms of function. The recoil is nothing.
Right.
The problem is most people who are sensitive to recoil have small hands, and the grip is huge. So that's a problem. And then also the grip being huge and people with small hands can't reach the safety because of the weird location on it.
I think he's assuming this gentleman's or assuming gentleman, I'm assuming gender,
Sure.
but you're assuming hand size.
Right.
We can't do that. We can't make assumptions. Let's.
But so anyway, that is something to keep in mind. Tim and I both have huge hands. That's probably not an issue for us, but some people it is.
Yeah, it is kind of a long handgun.
It is.
It really
It's
is.
very long.
I forget that because I do have stupid sized hands.
Right.
But yeah.
But I mean, it's a good gun, and if you're recoil sensitive and have hands that can handle it, and you're not afraid of having a weirdo cartridge, I mean,
right.
Sure.
I mean, it's
a
perfectly
good
lethal.
gun. It's a good gun. It's quality wise.
It's just not my caliber. You know, if you want to defeat body armor, you know, if that's a concern of yours, consider picking up the Extreme Penetrator or the Extreme Defender from Underwood Ammunition. I've shown that it'll penetrate level 2A body armor and still punch through a complete FBI gelatin block.
Right.
And that's something that the 5.7 can't do. In my testing, shooting through 2 body armor, it made it about 4 inches when I used the right ammunition. Keep in mind, most of the ammunition you're going to find in gun stores across America are not going to penetrate armor.
Right. That's SS-198.
Right. And that's the only round that's designed to do it. And when it does do it, it only makes it about 4 inches into gel. And some people say, well, you're 4 inches, you're going to hit an organ. Keep in mind, gel is not representative of the entire human body. There's a reason why the FBI says a minimum of 12 inches of penetration to be lethal. So it's less than impressive all across the board. And the only benefit that it has is twofold: high capacity in a small package. Relatively, it's a large size service pistol, but they don't make a compact version. And it has almost no recoil. It's like shooting a 22 long rifle. It's very pleasant to shoot.
Agreed on all fronts. Guys, I'm going to stop sending super chats now. I want to get to all the ones that have been posted so far. I don't want to leave anybody out, and we're going to have to close this video out at some point. We've been going for a little while.
I'll talk forever.
Yeah, exactly. So will I. That's the problem. All right. We'll try to get through all of them. So Enlightened and Preparing says, thoughts on the Ohio Ordnance HCAR aside from the best? Not sure what that means at the end.
Yeah, I think somebody really loves the thing.
Apparently.
So what it is a modernized BAR, you know, of World War I, World War II lore.
Yep.
I've never had the opportunity to shoot one. I think it's neat. Do I think it's practical? No. I'd take an AR-15. Is it cool? Yeah, it's real high on the cool scale. On the practical scale, it's a novelty in my opinion.
Yeah, I handled one at a show, like just ran the action stuff like that. It seems really well built.
It's amazingly well built.
I don't know anything other than that. And so, like you said, it's very expensive, but it's cool. But yeah, it wouldn't be my first choice for a defensive.
It's gun. For the person that has every other gun on the planet,
which is totally cool. If that's you,
right?
I have guns like that. You know? So, all right. Florida Man says, "Thank you, appreciate that." Justin says, "Thoughts on a good 1 to 6x looking at the Trijicon VCOG?"
If you got the money for a VCOG, it's a superb sight. If money is a factor, I seriously recommend looking at Primary Arms. I mean, we have had such good luck with Primary Arms, and I have had. But I use them a lot. Jason uses them a lot, and Copper sells a lot of them. And I can't remember any of them coming back. And I've had very good luck with the optics. And matter of fact, Guns and Gear here has done quite a bit of shooting with the ACSS reticle, a lot more than I have. And we'll probably do some range work tomorrow with an ACSS. And at least for my audience, have him break it down. I know he's already done that, I think, on his channel. But break it down for my audience exactly how the ACSS is used, because I have an ACOG with the ACSS in it, and I have just a traditional M4A1 ACOG with the regular reticle. That if you ever served in the military, you know exactly what it looks like.
Sure.
So
the VCOG is fantastic.
It's an amazing,
highly recommended. Again, if you have the money for it, it's a fantastic optic.
I agree.
And then I would agree as well on the Primary Arms stuff. They're doing a lot of QC work that a lot of other budget optics companies don't do. Not to say that others don't. I'm sure others do, but I know Primary Arms is doing a ton there.
Their signature line is amazing.
Agreed. And I've actually had the pleasure and the honor, I guess, to be asked about a lot of the reticle designs and have some input into it with the ACSS, because like Tim said, I shoot it all the time. I understand the math behind it and everything that goes into it intrinsically at this point. But yeah, no, their stuff, it's good. It's very, very good. But yeah, VCOG with ACSS, I've been working with both companies to try to make that happen. So we'll see. I got the TA-44 made.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, guys.
That's pretty cool.
All right. Eric said with the super chat, the biggest nightmare gun to take apart.
Oh, wow, man. So
I will say with, I'll just say modern pistols. So that's what popped into my brain.
That's what I go. I immediately go to.
So
antiques.
I would say CZs.
What? It's like it's better than a 1911.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many small parts on a CZ pistol.
Are you talking about field stripping or detail stripping?
I'm taking completely 100%.
Oh yeah,
I think
apart. SIG.
Yeah, SIG's not.
The P226 is a nightmare to take completely apart.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so I'm talking about completely apart.
Yeah. For me, just even field stripping a Japanese World War II Nambu. If you want to invent cuss words,
yeah, I agree.
Doing that in the field at night, impossible. And the Japanese probably never fought in cold climate because trying to take that thing apart with gloves on isn't going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. All right. Alan asked, experience with the Midwest Industries handguard on a Marlin or Henry. I have it on the Henry. I don't think I have the video up yet. It's up. It's just not public. So we'll just give away the goods here in this live chat for you. But no, it's been really good. Some people had issues with the installation, trying to remove the little retainer there that clamps the magazine to the barrel. There's a really easy way to do it. And it's not hard. I've seen install videos where people are just doing it completely wrong. Essentially, if you slide it to the side without having it in front of me, it will mount on there with literally the turn of one screw. It's very, very simple. I'll put that video up one of these days. But yeah, no, it's been really solid. And I think a lot of people who live in band states, it becomes a very viable option with the ability to add a light to it if you don't have the ability to run a semi-auto for whatever reason. But anyway, have you used it yet?
Nope.
Okay.
I haven't. Oh, I think I said Tim McKenna. It's Tim Kennedy. I don't know why I said McKenna. I don't even know who Tim McKenna is. Or did I say Kennedy?
I'm not sure. I knew who you meant, though.
I knew who I meant, too.
George Moran says, if Tim Kennedy Glock legs himself with his Uncle Mike's holster, will the rat save him? Well,
I think his legs are too big for the rats.
Yeah, the 5.7 wouldn't get through it. His thighs are huge.
They are.
Michael Oliver said super chat, but no question. Thank you. Jesse says, I'm a USCCA instructor trying to grow my channel, called Hunt Training. YouTube won't let me send super chat on it, so I'm on my personal page. Well, there you go. You got your shout out. What are y'all's tips? Enjoy, you fellas. So my tip for growing a YouTube channel, I need to make a complete video on this because it's 40 minutes. But the biggest thing is be consistent, and content is king. People constantly say, they come up to me and say, I want to start a YouTube channel. What's your advice? And I say, how many videos do you have up? And they say 0. And I say, you don't want to start a YouTube channel. Because if you want to start a YouTube channel, you would have started a YouTube channel. Today, with cell phones and everything that was not there when I was there, when I was starting, there's absolutely no reason if you want to start a YouTube channel that you don't have a YouTube channel.
So people starting YouTube channels right now are starting kind of late in the game. So 2008 is when I started the Military Arms channel. I had a channel previous to that I just uploaded silly videos to. Even in the early stages of the Military Arms channel, I just uploaded silly videos of me just shooting random things. But back then, there weren't really many gun channels at all. And YouTube was only a couple of years old and still hadn't been purchased by Google yet. And it was just it wasn't a big thing.
Right.
And today you have thousands and thousands and thousands of people all competing to get their name out there. And it's just more difficult. So I think what he was saying, rings true. You got to be consistent. You got to upload and you got to put in your time. I mean, some folks rocket to stardom. You take a look at Grantham. It seems like he just came out of nowhere. Yep. John Lovell, Warrior Poet. Seems like they just came out of nowhere and boom, shot to fame. That's not the norm. That's the exception to the rule. Most of you are going to have to just slug it out for 11 years.
So, yeah, no, I agree. Recently, Tao and Sai, as many of you guys know, was down at my house for like a week. And we talked about this a good bit. And he has, I do not want to quote it because I'm sure I'll be wrong, but like a ton of videos that are over 1 million views. And he's only been doing YouTube for a short period of time. I have one, and I have 1,400 videos.
Wow.
So yeah, it's just, you never know. Everybody's different.
Yep, it is. You can't predict it. And there's if there was a recipe to how to do it, everybody be following that recipe. Somebody would have published it. It's just a lot of luck, a lot of hard work, and
Yep. So another one here from Mark says, how do us civilians carry a PPC with suppressors? out of state. I'm assuming you guys can because you have an FFL. So
is it saying PCC?
I think that's what he means.
Yeah.
Do you want to jump on that one? Or?
Okay. So how do civilians carry a pistol caliber carbine with suppressors out of state? I'm assuming you guys carry because you have an FFL. Okay, so keep in mind the ATF does not view a suppressor as a firearm. It's not classified as a firearm. Therefore, it's not subject to the same laws that a short barrel rifle would be, or a machine gun would be, or any other weapon would be. It falls into its own classification. So you can freely travel through the states with a suppressor as long as your destination is a state that allows their use. You have the right of free passage to pass through states like Illinois. But if you stop and shoot that suppressor in Illinois, now you're subject to their state laws, which could be pretty stiff penalties. Right. So if you're going to travel with a suppressor, make sure that the final destination is someplace that allows their ownership and usage, and you don't need an FFL. Now, I keep a lot of my NFA items on the books at the store because I have to travel to events and things like that. I don't want to constantly file paperwork. So a lot of the stuff that I travel with stays on the shop's FFL, and then the stuff that I actually want to shoot and take home and keep, I'll do the Form 4 on and transfer it to my own possession because I never will take it out of state. So those are things you need to take into consideration, but just keep in mind suppressors are not treated like firearms by the ATF.
Agreed on all counts. He's 100% right there. And keep in mind with that final destination thing, like, yes, that is the law, but do you really want to argue with like a small town cop at like 1 a.m. as you're driving down the road?
Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. And just keep it in the trunk. Most people won't even know what that little cylinder is, but I wouldn't say I have a suppressor in the trunk.
Right. And here's the law that protects me. Like,
yeah, right.
So, all right. So Jay says, thoughts on a 14.5 pencil and standard barrel. Is pencil as accurate as the government profile barrel?
I love this question.
Yeah. So, okay. So I'll give my thoughts on that. So, as long as you're not firing rapid strings of fire in a short period of time, it's unlikely that you're going to see much difference in the two barrel profiles with the same ammo, assuming the barrels shoot equally accurate, which you can't do that because barrels are all different. But let's just hypothetically say you can. You're going to see very little difference without getting it hot, assuming it's properly stress relieved and you're not hanging a bunch of stuff on the end like a heavy suppressor. I think 99% of people in this country would be very well served with a pencil barrel, probably better than a government profile to save the weight because you're just simply not putting that kind of volume down your guns. From everything I've seen, and I watch a lot of people shoot. We were having interesting conversations about people shooting earlier in what we've seen. But yeah, so I think pencil profiles are awesome. If you're not going to go pencil and you want something a little bit more rigid, look at something that's a hybrid. So like thicker towards the chamber, narrower out front, Hansen profiles, gunner profiles, BCM, ELW, etc. Go ahead. No,
I mean, he nailed it. That's exactly, in my experience, the pencil barrels are ideal because it reduces the weight. One thing that we saw in the 90s, in the early 2000s, were people globbing stuff onto ARs, making heavy barreled ARs. Colt did this, heavy barreled versions, and quad rails and lights and lasers and grips and all this crazy stuff. And the original concept was lost of a lightweight rifle. And if you take a look at the early SP1s, rifles I really enjoy shooting, they have very light profile barrels. And they've always shot well. They did great as the M16, the M16A1. They did just fine. And as he pointed out, I mean, unless you're just running mag after mag after mag after mag, you're really not going to see much of a difference between the pencil and the medium weight profile barrel or the government profile barrel. So me personally, I always opt for a lightweight barrel profile because I'm not out mag dumping my rifle, Yep.
No, agreed. Mark sent super chat. Thank you for that, but no question. All right, guys, I'm trying to get through all of them here. Hold on. Andy asks, any news on the ATF e-form coming back online?
No, nothing yet, man. They don't. When the ATF makes up their mind, you'll find out. Like with the rest of us, they don't give early information.
Agreed. The motor boarder said he just wanted to support us. I appreciate that.
Thank you, man.
And I think that's it for super chat. So we're done there.
Okay. We're right at the hour mark.
I know. I was watching it earlier. That's why I asked to cut it off. So yeah, like I said earlier, we will be doing some content together tomorrow, probably on both of our channels, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So if you guys aren't subscribed to Tim, I will leave a link down below in the video as soon as we're done with the video. you can go check his channel out rather. And definitely thanks for having me out.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's great that you guys made the trip over.
Swinging through.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Pleasant surprise.
I don't know when the editing will be done. Don't be blowing up my inbox with that. But we're gonna get it done. We're gonna get the videos out to you guys. And appreciate all of you guys chiming in. This was a last minute thing. So if you didn't get a notification, there wasn't one. But you guys can replay the video as soon as we're done here. Anything you want to say? Nope,
man. Hey, thanks for including me on the live stream. It's been a lot of fun.
All
and hopefully we'll see you guys over the Military Arms channel too.
Indeed. All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
There.